Hi, everybody. My name is Meara, and Jenny asked me to talk a little bit about some of my past work as well, so I'm going to do very brief towards you at first. So I'm not historically a coder. I actually started out being really interested in physical visualizations of sound, like these Chladni patterns. How many people have seen Chladni patterns before or are familiar? So, a good amount. For those of you that aren't familiar, they're basically two-dimensional representations of sound in a plate. So if you put powder on a plate and vibrate it, it will make patterns according to the resonant modes of the plate. So a while ago, I made an electronic version of this historical demonstration. Traditionally, the plates were bowed into resonance. And I started driving the plate with my voice and making up songs based on sequences of patterns. And then I made it into an exhibit at the Exploratorium so that everyone could come and make patterns with their own voices and discover different things. So here's a brief video of that. Very brief. So during this time, I was asked to work on concert visuals for Björk's Biophilia tour, and I basically took the same idea and filmed it and digitized it and sort of digitally synced it to bass lines of Björk songs. We either projected the patterns on the floor, so it looked like she was standing on a big Chladni plate, or sometimes projected them behind her, like in this concept art. So here's a really brief clip of that work. So as I was finishing this work, I became increasingly interested in actually exploring other invisible aspects of sound, how we perceive musical patterns. I found that a lot of the same things that allow us to survive and navigate through space are also present in the process of enjoying and perceiving music. So I recently finished a 56-channel installation about beat frequencies for the Exploratorium's Forum in collaboration with Biophilia. We used 8 steady sine waves to create a spatial network of beat frequencies that collided in various points in space to create different rhythms depending on where you were standing in the room. So it was a combination of both physics and your perception, because based on what you were hearing, people began to hear very musical rhythms based on the collision of these beat frequencies. So, if Chladni patterns and my other previous work are about highlighting these invisible things, illusions are actually highlighting another invisible thing, which is just more perception itself. So I'm very interested in the idea of, in the visual realm, it's called Gestalt grouping principles. It's what allows you to see these as 2 triangles rather than just a series of shapes that actually make that. So the same thing happens with our auditory perception, except we're just even less likely to notice when it's happening. So I started making animations and recordings of traditional auditory illusions and trying to understand them a little bit more. So the one I'm about to show you is called the Wessel illusion, and it's a sequence of 3 notes that are rising in pitch. And first they'll be played slowly and then immediately followed by a faster version of the same sequence. Did anybody hear the pitches switch direction when it was played faster? So the fact that most people tend to perceive the faster version as going down is what's called an inherent pattern. And it's a kind of grouping effect that's similar to the triangles that I showed you. So there are inherent patterns all over music, and often traditional Western notation doesn't adequately reflect this difference between what's played and what's heard. So I started playing around with rhythm necklaces, which are circular representations used in ethnomusicology and a variety of other fields to help visualize things like inherent musical patterns, and also to understand the mathematical properties of what makes rhythms especially enjoyable. So I've been working on a musical sequencer that allows you to make your own rhythmic patterns according to geometric principles, and then alter just different aspects of the sound that affect our normal grouping tendencies to explore these inherent patterns. So here's a demo video that I made about the initial prototype. This is how rhythm is most often represented, in a horizontal line. However, circular representations of repeating patterns allow us to understand rhythms in a new geometric way. These circles are called rhythm necklaces, and they're used to represent mathematical relationships in fields as diverse as ethnomusicology, nuclear physics, and crystallography. By breaking a complex rhythm into separate interlocking necklaces, it's possible to explore how it fits together, as well as understand glitches in our perception that cause us to hear things in a certain way. Let's explore how rhythm necklaces can be used to manipulate our perception. We're wired to hear patterns. We hear patterns in time, and we hear patterns in pitch. When we hear pitches that are close together, we experience continuity. And when we hear pitches that are farther apart, we experience discontinuity. We group sounds together based on similar characteristics. This creates in our mind a certain rhythm, even when it's not there in the individual parts. The pattern we all tend to perceive is called an inherent pattern. This sequencer is a tool for manipulating variables of rhythm, for example, pitch, timbre, and stereo location, in such a way that one can shift the inherent patterns that we all hear. You're about to hear the same interlocking rhythm in 3 different examples. In each, I'm going to adjust a parameter of the sound quality, but not the rhythm itself. Notice how the inherent pattern changes. As we heard before, changing the pitch range that a particular rhythm necklace is in can cause it to emerge as a distinct voice. The same goes for separating the stereo panning of the necklaces. You'll need headphones to hear the effect. Sorry. Changing the envelope or the timbre of the sounds can also cause the notes to be grouped differently. Finally, changes in the tempo or speed of a rhythm can create ambiguities around the starting point of the sequence. Next, I'm going to take this rhythm necklace and speed it up. As it slows down, try to hear if what you think the first beat or main pulse of the cycle changes. The visual nature of rhythm necklaces also allows us to manipulate the geometry of a rhythm. A rhythm can be symmetrical or asymmetrical. Even when a necklace isn't symmetrical, many popular rhythms still exhibit something called maximal evenness, which is when beats are spread as evenly as possible across a cycle. A certain amount of asymmetry can be really enjoyable. An element of surprise helps keep us interested in music. A researcher named Björk actually created an algorithm that could be applied to rhythm necklaces to generate maximally even rhythms, as well as maximally uneven rhythms, or as he called it, maximum ugliness. With this sequencer, you can explore a range of this. interesting about these geometric shapes is that you can radically alter how the necklaces are perceived just by rotating them slightly. You can add up to 6 necklaces simultaneously, which is where the fun comes in. This sequencer is designed to give you complete fine-tuned control over minute elements of rhythm, which, as I've just demonstrated, can be used to alter perception. In addition, it allows rhythms to be understood geometrically, which can make the creation of patterns more intuitive. So yeah, this is kind of different from everyone here tonight. I haven't actually finished this app, but I'm currently working on wireframing it, and I'm kind of right in the middle of the process that everyone's been talking about of trying to find that fine line between things being incredibly accessible and also technical, you know, in terms of being able to have minute control over things. So this is just like some early wireframing of how to do that, how to make certain controls through gesture as opposed to number boxes and stuff. Thank you.